Okay, this is the video tutorial for lesson 7.1. We're going to look at a couple of things, dividing by monomials and also GCF and factors. So first part is just a little recap. Remember when we're dividing, we subtract exponents. We still do numbers first, letters second when we do these questions. So dividing with like terms here, 63 divided by 7, that would just be 9. When we divide with exponents, we subtract. Remember, if you don't see an exponent, that means it's a 1. So 2 take away 1 would be 1. And I'm not going to put x to the 1, I'm just going to put x. If we see exactly the same thing, then remember that cancels, so there is no y term here. And 6 take away 2 would give me 4. So for numbers, you just divide as normal. But when we have exponents, we subtract the exponents to come up with what we need. And I put my steps here on the side. Now technically when you subtract here, you get 1 divided by 1 minus 1, which is 0. That actually gives you an answer of 1. Now we tend not normally to write the 1 in here, because if we do, we just do 9 times 1, which is 9 anyway. So normally we will just cancel here at this point. Alright, second question. Now if they write the question sideways like you can see here, then what you probably want to do is, you probably want to do like we just did in the last question. You probably just want to stack this question up and make it into a fraction. And then you can line up the terms. 7 take away 6 is 1, so that would just be A. Same thing here, so these would cancel. 9 take away 3 is 6, and no exponent is a 1, so 6 take away 1 is 5. And there were all my steps on where I came up with this. So basically just a little recap to begin with. Now the new part of the lesson is, and I got to add in an extra set of parentheses here, there we go. If I'm dividing this expression by this expression, so a binomial divided by a monomial, binomial 2 terms, monomial 1 term, then the same thing, you're just going to set it up like we did before, bring this to the bottom and divide each of these terms by this. So as we're doing this then, 18 divided by 3 is 6. These are the same, so they would cancel, and 5 take away 2 is 3. Negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. Put that little exponent of 1 in there. 3 take away 1 is 2. And look, n squared and n squared, as they're the same, they just go ahead and cancel. And same idea, even if we extend to a trinomial, that's 3 terms. Just go ahead and split the question up into 3 parts, and then work through each one individually. So 8 over 4 is 2. Put the 1 in there. 3 take away 1 is 2. 2 over 4, I don't want to put 0.5. If possible, with these types of fractions where the bigger number is on the bottom, we want to try and simplify, so 1/2. 2 take away 1 is 1, so I'm not going to put n to the 1, I'm just going to put n. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and the n's cancel. So basically it's the same question, but you're just doing it 3 times, whereas in the last unit we just did it once. And then that leads into our lesson on GCF and factoring. Now in middle school you might have used this method where you break numbers down. You might have used a factor tree and then you circle things that are common for both and then multiply to get the answer. Now we're not going to focus on that anyway. If you remember that, that's great. If not, we're just going to use our Desmos calculator. Functions, go to miscellaneous. They use GCD, greatest common divisor, and that will give you the same answer. And then all you do is you type in the numbers that you want to find the GCF from. And before you even type in the last parenthesis, it will actually give you the answer, which is what I had here a second ago. But if you're not sure, that would be a way. Some people can just look at these and see which times table they're in. But you've got to be careful you pick the greatest, though, because these are in the 2 times table. But you've got to make sure you pick the biggest one, which is the 4 times table. Now, with variables, it actually works kind of the same. You'd write out what each of these things are. Each power just tells you how many times to write out the letter. And then you would circle them to find out what the answer is, and then you just pick out this as your answer. Now, for variables, it's easier, actually. You can just go with this rule. Go with the lowest power. So if we have 3 here and 2 here, then I'm only going to be able to circle 2, because I won't have a third one. So if I look at the letters here, I can see that 2 is smaller than 3, so I go with 2. 3 and 1, so I go with x to the 1. Now there's actually no y's in common to both of these expressions, so that's why you don't see a y within the answer. And if you actually have the same exponent, then you just write down that exponent. But if you have one that's lower, then you certainly go with the lowest exponent. So just very quickly, if you had x to the 2 and x to the 5, 2 is smaller than 5, so you just go with x squared. If you want to practice that on this question here, then I would go 17 and 14. So I would go with x to the 14. 12 and 15, 12 smaller, so y12. And as these are the same, it doesn't matter, 13. So my GCF would be x to the 14, y to the 12, z to the 13. So really kind of easy. You're just looking for which has the smaller of the numbers. Now we're going to use that to help us factor. So when we factor, that's things that multiply together. So if we talked about factor pairs of 10, you'd talk about things like 2 and 5, 1 and 10. So this is basically what we're trying to do. Two things that multiply together to make this, and possibly for later 3 terms. So we start with the numbers first, 2 and 12. If you're not sure, just use that calculator, and you should figure out it's 2. And then you want, with this one having variables in it, you have to look, do they have the same letter? As they don't, then I know for this question the GCF is just 2. And what I'm trying to do is figure out what do I times 2 by to give me this. Now you might just be able to see, oh, 2 times s gives me 2s. 2 times 6 gives me 12. And if you can do that, that's great. You can just write this straight down. If you cannot, all you're going to do is you're just going to divide this question by that GCF and then use that skill that you just had from the last unit. So 2 divided by 2 cancels, so you get left with s. 12 divided by 2, 6. So that's why we did dividing polynomials first. 12 and 16, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's actually 6. And this is kind of one of those dangerous ones where you find a number. So if you're not sure, just use a calculator. Once again, do they have the same letter? No, so the only GCF for this one is 6. And then to find out what the answer is, just divide both of these by 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2, and there's a t left over, so 2t. And negative 18 divided by 6 is negative 3, and you're done. Now, if you want to check your answer, go ahead and distribute, multiply back, do this times this, and this times this, and see if you actually get this. So this is actually the reverse of what you did in Module 6. In Module 6, you had this, and you multiplied out to find this. In this unit, we go in reverse to find out what the original question was. And we'll talk about why you want to do that in a later lesson. So 6 and negative 2. I'm just going to focus on the 6 and 2. GCF is 2. Do they have the same letter? This time they do. So we go with the one with the lowest power. So 2 and 1, I want to go with A. So in other words, the GCF is 2A. So to find out what goes inside the parentheses, just divide both of these by 2A. So, whoops, not very neat here, but sorry. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And subtract the exponents. 2 take away 1 is 1. So I got 3A to the 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then the A's would cancel. Now on this one you've got to be a little careful because you might say, oh look, the 2's are the same in the cancel. Oh, I have nothing left, and then you put 0 here. So always make sure that you divide the numbers just to make sure you avoid that from actually happening. And you could multiply back as well, just to check that you do get the correct answer. Last one, technically no number here, so it could be 1. But if we don't have two numbers, the GCF is just going to be 1. So I'm not going to write down 1. A and A squared, lowest power is A to the 1. They don't both have a B, so actually the only factor this time is just A. And to find out what goes inside the parentheses, just divide both of these by A. So on this one, the A's cancel, so I get left with 3B. And subtract the exponents. 2 take away 1 is 1, so just A to the 1, or in other words, just A. And if you multiply back, you'll indeed find that you do get to that point there. Now, as we move on to slightly more complicated questions with higher powers and possibly more letters, it's still the same idea. 9 and 6, GCF is 3. T cubed and T squared go with the lowest power. U to the 1, U to the 4 go with the lowest power, which is U. And then just divide this whole question by that GCF. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Subtract the exponents, t to the 1, and oh look, the u's are the same, so they will cancel. Negative 6 divided by 3, negative 2. Oh, the t squareds are both the same, so that will cancel. 4 take away 1 gives me 3. 14 and 21, if you're not sure, it's the 7 times table. S2, S1, go with the lower, so S to the 1. T to the 4, T to the 6, go with the lowest one. And then once you've found that GCF, just divide the whole question by that expression. 14 divided by 7 is 2. Let me put the little 1 in there. 2 take away 1 is 1. And t to the 4 and t to the 4 are the same. 21 divided by 7 is 3. Oh look, s's are the same, they'll cancel. 6 take away 4 is 2. So we can get into a bit of a routine when we're doing these questions, and we can kind of go through them fairly quick. Now, ones with a negative at the start of the question, if you actually do the GCF of -10, 4, and -12, it's not going to give you a negative answer. It'll always give you a positive answer. So when we have a negative, we're always going to put a negative at the start of the question. And the GCF of 10, 4, and 12 is just 2. So I'm going to put -2 here. For R, I can see power of 2, power of 1, power of 1. So the lowest power is R to the 1. For T, I got power of 1, power of 4, power of 1. So power of 1 was the lowest. And then just take the whole question and divide each term by that GCF. -10 divided by -2 is 5. Subtract the exponents. 2 take away 1 is 1. Oh, T's are the same, so they cancel. 4 divided by -2 is -2. R's are the same, so that will cancel. And then 4 take away 1 will give me 3. -12 divided by -2 is +6. I have an R on both, and I have a T on both, so they cancel. So really, when you're doing those GCF questions, you really do have a good chance to go back and practice all that work with division. Go try the questions from the homework, and that's it for this lesson.